I have a monolithically large book haul to share with you. If you stick around until the end of the video, Moyd sent me a package that I'm going to open. I have a feeling I know what's in there. I'm going to start with some thrifted acquisitions that I got in the past couple days, and then we're going to delve into the library bookstore sale that I went to, where I spent 125 bucks. I got a small anarchist press's worth of inventory of books. First of all, The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. I have another copy of this that's even more vintage than this and in a little bit nicer condition. Vintage Second Foundation by Asimov. As well as a second copy of the same one. Whichever one I don't keep, I'm going to put up on my Etsy. There's a link to that in the description. I sell books priced so that I make about $5 in profit. And I put up a bunch of pretty good stuff on there. If you're interested in supporting the channel, I don't have a Patreon or anything like that. In the ocean of night, not that there's anything wrong with having a Patreon. Gregory Benford. I haven't read him. This isn't in the best condition, but that cost, I don't know, maybe 50 cents or something. And a Vintage Foundation and Empire in that same aesthetic. That one I'm keeping. It's replacing a not as cool one that I have. The Temple of Dawn by Yukio Mishima. I don't read all that much literary fiction in proportion to the science fiction that I read, but I do read it, and Mishima is among the best authors I've ever read. And I've only read one book. I've only read The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea. And the prose was so good that it made my hair stand on end when I read it. This was $4 at a Goodwill bookstore. Picked this up at a book off. I've had pretty good luck with that book off, buying books for $1, or this was $2.50 actually, that I'd never heard of, that paid off. Charles Oberndorf. And not a whole lot of reviews on this, but people seem to like it. This is from a Goodwill, Adrian Tchaikovsky's Made Things. I hate the cover. I hate this steampunky, kind of puppety, twee aesthetic, but Tchaikovsky, I've never run across at a thrift store ever until now, and this is not one that I've heard of. I got this copy of Delicate Prey by Paul Bowles from a Goodwill. Kind of like Mishima, this is an author that I almost never find out in the wild. I do find Sheltering Sky sometimes, which is his famous book, but really nothing else. I got a bookmark. So I figured this was my one shot to pick that up. Also got The Spider's House by Paul Bowles. This is the Black Sparrow Press edition, and I like these Black Sparrows a lot. Out of the Litfic Ghetto, a hard copy, Frederick Pohl, Black Star Rising. I've heard this mentioned once or twice. Pohl is an enigma to me. I have read Gateway, and I found it pretty disappointing. But he's so prolific and so respected that I feel like I have to give him another shot. Not that it was bad, it was just kind of middling. The Dread Heinlein, Stranger in a Strange Land. I got that really nice hardcover, reflective, metallic edition of Stranger in a Strange Land, and I sent it to Moyd because I figured that he would read it and that I wouldn't. But this is going in the roulette, in the random name pick, and there's a chance that I may read it. I don't care for Heinlein, I never really have, but I want to find the Heinlein that changes my mind. I ordered this online. It's Behind the Paint by Violent J of Insane Clown Posse, someone for whom I have great admiration, and I'm not being ironic. One of the most interesting people in the history of music and American culture, and I'm curious enough about him to actually read the book. Alan Dean Foster's For Love of Mother Not. This is the first in the Pip and Flinks series, I think. And it's in the Del Rey, not a Timescape. I'm developing a little bit of a collector's taste for the Timescape novels. But I do like the aesthetics of these Del Reys. And I got a copy of The Minority Report by Philip K. Dick. It's a story compilation. Okay, those were the thrift finds, which brings us up to today. We'll start with this grocery bag, this humble grocery bag's worth of books and CDs. First one is a new factory sealed calendar from 1988 for Crazy Cat. This is an outsider art or cartoon thing, and this is very, very rare. And I'm not entirely sure how much it is worth, but this is going to go up for sale somewhere. And I got a few items like that that will more than cover the cost of everything that I got. So everything is functionally free that you're looking at. Carlos Castaneda, Journey to Istlan. This is another one that I'm selling. This is a New Age book, vintage New Age book, not for me. I just grabbed this and threw it in on the off chance that it was worth something. It's a hardcover Dragonlance. Actually, let's look this up right now and see if it is. Nope, it's worth nothing. Some CDs. Dead Milkman, Big Lizard in My Backyard. I'm gonna sell that one. A Pig Face CD of like goth and industrial remixes of songs I don't recognize. I'm just gonna throw that in the van and listen to it. Here's a new, still factory sealed copy of The Pubert Brown Fridge Occurrence, A Once and Future Thing, a rare album of unknown value. Another Dead Milkman. This one is worth around $40. And, or sorry, no, that one's 15. This one is the one that's worth around 40, King in Yellow. I might throw these in the CD player just to try them out, see if I like it, as per my friend's recommendation. It's the one that pointed those out to me. But if I don't love it, I'm gonna flip it. And she also found me this, 13 Most Beautiful Songs for Andy Warhol's Screen Tests. This is quite valuable. This is worth, I think, around 50 to 75. So I'm gonna sell that one. Meat Puppets, Up on the Sun. And now we get into the real meat of what I got. This whole box of books was like 20 bucks. A vintage Asterix comic. I'm gonna probably sell this. If my memory serves, these are worth a pretty penny or two. We'll see. I got a few like this. I got a vintage Adventures of Tintin as well. One of these is going to be worth 50 bucks is my guess. Another fairly poor condition Tintin, Land of Black Gold. I thought there was a third one, but maybe not. Kim Stanley Robinson, 60 Days and Counting. I think these were $1 each for the hardcovers. I've never even heard of this KSR. This looks like a thriller, like a political thriller, not a genre book. Kim Stanley Robinson's 40 Signs of Rain. Looks like another political thriller. I don't know if he moonlit as a Tom Clancy type author. I don't know if I hope that he did or hope that he didn't. But I'm sure it's good either way. Vintage Special Deliverance by Clifford Simak. This is the kind of thing I was really after. Let's see if that is first edition. Doesn't look like it's book club. No, it is. It says right there, book club edition. So, oh well. I'm going to hang on to that one for sure. Bruce Sterling's Schismatrix Plus. Is this a sequel to Schismatrix, or is this the Schismatrix that is famous? I'm about to finish Neuromancer, and I'm in love with the book. And it definitely whetted my appetite for more steampunk. Or steampunk. Jesus, not steampunk. Cyberpunk. The real books. I would like to read more of it, and Sterling is one of the most famous practitioners of it. The Dragon and the Unicorn in hardcover by A.A. Adanasio, who's someone that I've seen brought up on BookTube a couple of times recently. And he's talked about as someone who is celebrated. This is a first printing, April 1996 hardcover. That might be worth something. Even if it is, I'm probably going to hang on to that. Uh-oh, it has a unicorn on it. I don't know. Robert Silverberg's Lord Valentine's Castle in hardcover in this big wraparound dust jacket. I have, I think, a paperback, like a mass market of this. This is the first in the Madripoor Chronicles series, which is his big fantasy epic that I really would like to read. And this is also a book club edition, but I don't really care about that. That does not bother me at all. William Gibson's Zero History. This is not a rare book at all, and I don't love the library dust jacket. I may take a razor blade to this. It's a little bit beat up, but yeah, I just am so smitten with Neuromancer, and I know that that's a pretty high bar to clear even for Gibson, and I hear that his later books are not as Neuromancer is, but still. I got 2 Stephen Donaldson hardcovers, which had I stopped and really thought it over, I don't know that I really would have bought, but they were there and they were $1. The Last Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. So there was the original trilogy of Thomas Covenants, and then I think there was a middle trilogy, and then there was another one, maybe. So in the event that I get through, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I kind of regret buying these, but I don't know. I'll think about it. And then the paperbacks, which is really where the action is. The World Records by Marion Zimmer Bradley. This vintage, I think, fantasy. The cover art is great. We love this cover art. Under the Red Sun, a galaxy's telepaths face finality. Maybe it is science fiction or sci-fantasy. That would be great. Nebula Award Stories, number 3. Contender for the worst cover I've ever seen on a science fiction or fantasy book. This kind of Rosemary's Baby type photo. I wonder what's actually in here. It has Samuel Delaney, Fritz Lieber, and Michael Moorcock in it. Oh, it has Behold the Man, which I read. Interesting. Vintage copy of Cities in Flight by James Blish. I have the omnibus, and I have volume 2. I may have both of the mass markets, the volume 1 and volume 2, but maybe I should just hang on to this and read this one, although it's pretty tanned, the pages. I've been kicking myself ever since that big flea market haul that kind of inaugurated this channel. I got a hardcover, probably first edition copy of Cities in Flight before I really knew what I was doing, and I sold it on eBay, probably for like 20 bucks or something. I wish I still had it. This might be a pretty good find, I'm not sure. Raymond Chandler's The Little Sister. Vintage copy. It's the kind of thing that might just be worth 10 bucks, might be worth more. Could say that about literally anything. How meaningless. Chandler, I actually just pulled out my copy of Big Sleep and kind of looked at it. Because I don't read crime fiction at all. But the classics I think I can probably get into. Into the Out Of by Alan Dean Foster. I've counted coup with this book many, many times. I've found it around. It's a science fiction horror, which is a genre that I gravitate towards, and Alan Dean Foster is okay. I don't know. I'll throw it on the Sci-Fireplace and maybe Providence will smile upon it. The Well at the World's End by William Morris. Look at this cover art. And I also got The Well at World's End Volume 2, and I just noticed now, glancing at that, how good the cover art is. I don't know anything about this. Introduction by Lynn Carter. So I assume this is fantasy, and then it has a blurb by C.S. Lewis. This just looks and feels like a classic in the genre. I got 3 of these in this series, the George Lucas books. Shadow Star, I think this is the one that I've sold for $75. Shadow Moon. These, at least a couple of them, worth a lot of money, so this might have covered the cost of everything. I say that, I'm gonna check them and they're gonna be worth $5, but I have made good money selling these before. Heavy Time by C.J. Cherryh. This is not part of her big sprawling Foreigner series, which is mostly what you find. Been curious to read Cherryh because people say that she's great, but I don't want to read 900,000 pages, thanks. Oh yeah, and then I got a Dragonlance book and a Forgotten Realms book, which I meant to scan before I bought. Nope, those are worth nothing. Superluminal by Vonda McIntyre. She did Dream Snake, and a couple people in my comments have commented on how good McIntyre is. Sorry about my autofocus, it has sucked forever. It's got a taped spine, but I really like this aesthetically. This I was really excited about. The Worm Ouroboros by E.R. Edison. This rings a bell somewhere. I think that this is a fantasy classic, and it has this Tolkien art style that I know from the first edition Lord of the Rings paperbacks, and I just love it. I have to set aside a month and just read some of this classic fantasy, just focus in on it. I am, for better or for worse, doggedly determined to stick the landing with fantasy, find something that I do really enjoy. This might be the find of the day. First time seeing this edition. It's another Del Rey. It's in pretty good shape. Clean it up a little bit, dust it off. It's got a little bit of curvature, but probably pretty valuable, I would guess. And I don't actually have a copy. 54th printing, 1981, that's fine. That cover kicks ass. The Martian Way by Asimov. Kind of like that cover. Is this Panther? Yep. UK. 30 pence. The Longest Way Home by Silverberg. A completely shit cover, which is a fate that befell a lot of Silverberg books, especially in the 90s. Never heard of this one. Silverberg was so prolific. Retief at Large by Keith Laumer. Few people have told me that the Retief books are better than they look. And something about this told me it might actually be the first in the series. But there were so many of them, that's probably unlikely. Cosmic Diplomacy and Machiavellian Intrigue. Larry Niven, Jerry Purnell, and Stephen Barnes, Legacy of however that is pronounced. That is the final book from the library sale. I did get 104 opera DVDs for $104. So that's the majority of the cost of the $125. The rest was what you saw. Those DVDs are easily going to pay for all of this, and then probably multiple hundreds of dollars. Big box of them. I'm not going to lift them up. This is from Moyd. I've not shouted Moyd out or recommended that you subscribe to his channel, just because if you're here, I assume that you're already subscribed to him. But if you aren't, his channel is Media Death Cult. It's a lot of fun, and it's kind of a young, upstart, up-and-coming YouTuber who needs your support. I'll link his channel in the description. It is really good. I'm not looking yet. I don't have a chalice. I could dunk this in my, I could put it in my teacup, which would be fitting, since you're British. Matt, I heard that you were struggling to find a copy of... Okay, that did spoil it. Okay, so there's two books in here. The other one, I have a feeling. See what this one is. Yes, it is! The Master of Pax Wax. This has come up repeatedly on his channel, this very copy. It's been a little bit of a running joke. I'm gonna read this. I'm actually gonna read this and review it. Part 1 of the Story of the Gardener. Fucking Pax Wax. Thank you very much. And then the other one, incredible. Case of Conscience by James Blish, and exactly the UK paperback that I would like to have found it in had I just stumbled across it. This is considered, along with Cities in Flight, his masterpiece, and this is going to be pretty high on the TBR. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Moyd. That is really very nice of you. Trying to find the name of the cover artist. It looks kind of Chris Fosse, but I don't think that it is. Could be wrong. Matt, I heard that you were struggling to find a copy of A Case of Conscience. I happened to come across this awesome Chris Fosse covered version in Hey on Why a couple of weeks ago. Enjoy. I don't know why we both find Master of Pax Wax so fucking funny, but now you are the owner of part 1 of the story of the gardener. Enjoy again. Love from Moyd. Moyd, thank you so much. So after I wrap up Neuromancer, I have maybe 20 pages left. I'll be putting out another one of those review omnibus videos. The reason I don't publish as many videos on the channel anymore is because this is my second channel. The main channel is about thrifting stuff to resell. It's called Thrift a Life, and that sucks up a lot more of my time. And I have to run a full-time reselling business underneath both of these channels, or above both of these channels, which is obviously an enormous time commitment. So unfortunately, I just don't have the time to be putting out individual review videos of the books that I read and videos for every single book haul that I do. So this is just what I can afford with my time budget, and maybe that'll change eventually. Anyway, thank you for watching. Moyd, thank you again, and I have to process all of this somehow.